nurse travels to the other side discovers life after death sharing NDEs. Hi, I'm Kim. I've been working as a hospice nurse and a medium for more than 25 years. My goal is to help people understand and not fear death. My journey started when I was young. After my mom passed away when I was 12, I began questioning what happens after we die. As I grew up, I became a nurse and got interested in hospice care because I was already exploring different ways of healing and spirituality. I had always believed in angels and had experiences where I saw them during my healing work. As I worked with patients nearing the end of their lives, I noticed something interesting. Many of them would talk about seeing loved ones who had passed away, as well as angels or religious figures like Jesus and Mary. These experiences were normal for them as they approached death. I learned to accept and normalize these experiences for both the patients and their families. I also noticed changes in the family dynamics as their loved ones approached death. People would start dressing up as if for a special occasion, even though in the spiritual realm, clothes aren't necessary. This change often signaled that the person was getting closer to passing away, usually within about 24 hours. Let me share a couple of stories that shed light on the transition from life to the afterlife. In one instance, I was visiting a lady in the final days of her life. Just as I arrived at her apartment, I felt a tap on my shoulder. Turning around, I saw a man from the spirit world holding a bouquet of bright red flowers. He asked me to tell her he was there. Even though she was in a coma and couldn't speak, I relayed the message to her and her family. They revealed that the man was her late husband, who used to bring her red flowers every week when he was alive. It was touching to know that he was the one she wanted to see in her final moments. After she passed away, I sensed them walking hand in hand in a beautiful garden. This story illustrates the continuation of life after death. In another intriguing incident, I encountered a lady in a coma, and her son, who had a special connection with nature, was by her side. Later, during a spiritual clearing session at my house, I saw friendly green beings behind the shaman. He mentioned they were Arcturians, a term I hadn't heard before. Research revealed that they assist people in transitioning to the spirit world. When I returned to the lady's room, I noticed unusual occurrences, including a spirit lingering in the corner. Her son mentioned that she had mentioned silver spaceships several times before. The family observed the blinds moving whenever they asked if she was still present. These experiences underscored the interconnectedness between our actions and the spiritual realm. There's another interesting story I often share about the gorilla man. He always had a gorilla stuffed toy with him in hospice. When his family called, panicked, saying they thought he was going to die that day, I hurried over. They were planning to renew their wedding vows the following week, so they called the minister and got everything ready. They had the wedding ceremony right there while he was in his recliner, in a coma. The wife was sitting beside him, both in black pajamas. The minister performed the renewal of wedding vows, and he woke up, told a joke, kissed his wife, then slipped back into a coma. After the minister left, he woke up again, pointing to the angels and a train in the ceiling, repeating it multiple times. When he passed away that night, he asked the family to take him to the bathroom, and he died as they were helping him back into bed. Later that night, the daughter and son saw 4 angels and a train in the clouds. Another story involves a patient visited by a large angel named Archangel Azrael. The family's presence can sometimes make it harder for the patient to let go as they cling to life. In this case, the family had to leave, leaving the caregiver and me with the patient. I often see angels as sparkles or with wings, but this angel appeared as a beautiful, soft purple light, about 20 feet tall. It exuded immense strength and protection, guiding the patient on her journey. Next to it were 2 green angels, also radiating light, though without visible wings. At the time, I didn't realize they were angels, I just felt their power. So I think angels can have wings or not, I'm not sure. The 2 green ones were smaller but felt powerful, like guards ensuring everything was okay. With my eyes open, I saw lights above her for 3 days. One day, I saw other beings, more human-like, but in the spirit world, 3 on each side of her, sending healing to her body. She wasn't responsive. Then, on the last day before she passed, the angels and healers were gone, but she was still breathing. In my mind's eye, I saw her wearing a wedding dress, standing beautifully, walking toward me, alone, with flowers in her hair and a bouquet, surrounded by candles and a golden light behind her, looking happy and at peace. Once practicing shamanism, I asked where I'd go when I die. I was shown shooting into the stars, into a night sky filled with healing centers. In one, people talked and processed. In another, they lay in beds, getting healed. There were also centers where children played. So, there are healing centers in the spirit realm, like on Earth. Now, about another experience sometimes, people take their time to move on. I recall a lady, still alive but in my mind's eye, in a garden, enjoying the butterflies, birds, and flowers, just hanging out. No rush, absolutely none, for her to leave. I think this happens to all of us. We have 2 worlds, one here on Earth, very loving, and one in spirit, also very loving. In the middle, we're like, which way do I go? We have to decide to let go before we make that final leap across the veil. This is what I remind families part of the process of leaving is being able to let go. Buddhists have a good approach unattached from earthly things like cars, houses, or even people, so you can let go easier. When all these things are unattached, it's much easier to fly. One time, I visited a priest after he died. He had been gone about 30 minutes when I arrived to do the pronouncement. The family told me what a wonderful man he was, how loved he was. As I checked his pulse, I felt transported into another world. Flowers surrounded him, beautiful roses with organ music playing and priests, all in white, welcoming him. It was a wonderful experience to be so close to that. I've seen Jesus carrying people, lifting them away. Others have seen it too, even at the same time. Families have seen Jesus carrying away their loved ones. Dogs also come to meet those who are dying. Pets are important too, maybe even more than people, pulling you across with their love. I've seen dogs come to meet someone, and her son even dreamed about it before she died that day. Sometimes we can meet people we may not want to see, or who weren't nice to us, or we weren't nice to them. I have an example of a lady who felt she wasn't very nice to someone, but when she was dying at 104, she saw a big white angel at the head of her bed. Then I saw a man at the foot of her bed. He was in a black tuxedo suit, which is what they wear when it's very close. They change into formal attire. But she decided not to die that day. She came back and said, "I didn't want to see him. He won't forgive me." She thought she wasn't nice to him. A few days later, she started to die again and did die. But the man wasn't there that time, just the big white angel. So there's that example. Sometimes, with a strict religious background, like heaven and hell, people get anxious about dying. I had a client, an 80-year-old minister from a religious family. When he was dying, he was very agitated. We had to move him to a hospital because he was so scared. Even though he saw angels, he was still scared. We all die differently. I feel we should do as much healing as we can before crossing over forgiving ourselves and others, letting go of old hurts. This will help us transition easier. I also feel there are many masters and guides who may not look the same as what we imagine. Jesus may not look like Jesus, and even archangels in the spirit world may not have wings. They may look like aliens or tall lights. We can invite our team to meet us when we cross over our mom, dad, Buddha, whoever makes us comfortable. We're never alone, not animals, trees, or humans. As we rise up as multidimensional beings, knowing this is our true power, we embark on a new adventure across the veil.
Jesus Heaven, a shockingly perfect NDE. I had never imagined that a typical day at work would lead to the most profound journey of my life, a journey that brought me to the brink of eternity. It was 1999, in the bustling city of Portland, Oregon, where I, David Jones, spent my days guiding drug addicts as a counselor in a rehabilitation clinic. I cherished my role, often jokingly saying I'd do this job until the day I died. Little did I know that day would come sooner than expected. As someone generally healthy and spirited, being suddenly gripped by excruciating pain one ordinary morning felt like a betrayal by my own body. The familiar pain hinted at kidney stones, a battle I had faced before, but this time the intensity was unmatched. Dragging myself to the emergency room, I managed a weak smile at the nurse, joking about my condition. "Just another round with those pesky stones," I said, trying to mask the fear creeping into my heart. The hospital, usually a place of solace, became the backdrop for a nightmare I was unprepared for. After a flurry of activity, painkillers, and a hasty decision to operate, I was wheeled into surgery. The procedure was meant to be routine, and I expected to walk out by evening, ready to joke about my ordeal over dinner. However, fate had other plans. Post-surgery, instead of relief, my world began to dim. Unbeknownst to me, complications arose. Sepsis began to claim my body from an uncontrollable infection. I slipped away from consciousness, not into gentle sleep but into an abyss that swallowed all sense of time and self. In that darkness, where life's boundaries blurred, I began to grasp the fragility of our existence. Every breath, every heartbeat became precious rhythms slipping away. Clinically dead for nearly 2 hours, I found something in that void, a journey beyond this world, teaching me the true meaning of hope and the profound peace of facing mortality. As I lay there, a vivid vision unfolded, a journey reshaping my understanding of life and death. It was an unexpected voyage, not just for survival but to embrace existence beyond my own. Anchored by neither pain nor hospital smells, I drifted towards an ethereal light, pulled through dimensions I never knew existed. In this passage between worlds, I felt overwhelming peace, contrasting earthly chaos. Rapid yet elongated, the journey unveiled a cosmic dance, surpassing even my wildest dreams. The vastness converged into a luminous window, offering a glimpse into another existence. Approaching this window, I felt that crossing its threshold meant entering a realm of pure, unbridled existence. As I passed through, scenes unfolded with intense beauty and serenity, filling my heart with overwhelming joy. Heaven, or whatever name one might give to such a place, was vibrant with colours unseen on earth, pulsing with life and emotion. The air carried a harmonious melody, as if the very atmosphere sang. But above all, it was the absolute acceptance and love that enveloped everything. The grass, the breeze, the light all radiated a welcoming warmth, whispering, "You belong here." Wandering through this paradise, each step guided by an innate knowing, I felt it was more than a place, it was a state of being. The flowers nodded in recognition, the trees whispered my name, and a sense of unity overwhelmed me. I was not just a visitor but a part of this heavenly whole. Eventually my path led to a clearing where the essence of the universe converged. There, in soft light, stood a figure of peace and authority, Jesus. Not the Jesus of stained glass and scripture, but a presence so pure and loving that my knees buckled with awe. Approaching him, the forest parted, and every step deepened my understanding. When I reached him, I knelt, overwhelmed by his majesty and peace. His eyes reflected not just my life but the essence of all lives bound by divine love. "Welcome," he said, his voice resonating with cosmic sounds yet familiar as a loved one's embrace. His words soothed earthly scars and filled voids within me. In this wordless conversation, I grasped the boundless nature of our spirits and the purpose of mortal trials in our eternal existence. As Jesus spoke of love, life beyond death, and our eternal connection with creation, I underwent an internal transformation. My heart, once burdened, now swelled with potent hope. Standing at the edge of forever, I gained peace with what is a peace that would accompany me back to the living, carrying celestial whispers of hope and the promise of peace. As the light of eternity enveloped me, a subtle shift occurred. Jesus, with compassion, spoke of my return. "It is not yet your time," he expressed with loving authority. The realization that I was to go back to my earthly existence filled me with bittersweet emotion. The joy of having been here, in this perfect peace, was now tinged with the sorrow of departure. The return was nothing like the journey to this heavenly realm. If my ascent to heaven was a gentle drift into serenity, my descent back to the physical world was abrupt, a falling back through the layers of cosmic energy and celestial light. I felt a resistance within myself, a longing to stay enveloped in the divine peace I had experienced. Yet, with this reluctance came a profound realization I was being given a second chance, a chance to bring back with me the lessons of hope and peace I had learned. Reintegrating into my body was an experience as jarring as it was miraculous. The beep of the heart monitor accelerated, pulling me back into the realm of the tangible. I opened my eyes to the sterile brightness of the hospital room, the sounds of medical equipment and hushed voices of doctors who were astounded by my sudden return from the brink. They spoke of clinical death, of miracles, but all I could think about was the divine mission that had been entrusted to me. The days that followed were a blur of faces, family, friends, doctors all eager to understand what had happened. I shared my experience sparingly at first, unsure how to convey the enormity of what I had seen and felt. But with each telling, the details became clearer, and the purpose grew stronger. My near-death experience became a testimony of hope and peace, a beacon for those grappling with their own struggles. As I continued to recover, my perspective on life underwent a profound transformation. The mundane worries that had once seemed so significant now paled in comparison to the vastness of what I knew lay beyond. My interactions became more intentional, infused with the patience and understanding that came from having seen the interconnectedness of all life. I found myself driven by an unquenchable desire to spread the hope and peace I had been gifted. I began to engage with my community in ways I never had before. Speaking at schools, churches, and community centers, I shared my story, not as a tale of my own survival, but as a message of what lies beyond the trials we face, a message that in every challenge there is an opportunity to discover deeper peace and to foster greater hope. Years have passed since that fateful day, but the echoes of heaven still resonate deeply within me. My life is no longer just a series of events, but a continuous journey of spreading light. Every person I meet, every life I touch, I do so with the profound understanding that we are all connected in our quest for peace and in our capacity to overcome despair with hope. As I stand before you today, sharing this journey, I am overwhelmed with gratitude. Thank you for allowing me to share this piece of my soul with you. May the story of my near-death experience inspire you to seek peace in your challenges and find hope in your darkest moments. Remember, we are all part of a much greater narrative, one that is woven with threads of divine love and eternal light. Let us embrace each day with this knowledge, and let us move forward together, in hope and in peace.